Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon, and today, we're the ones who are going to determine who's naughty or nice.
And I'm Tony Kornheiser, and I'm in a bad mood, boys and girls.
You Grinch.
Welcome to PTI. In the headlines today, the Bears trick, George O'Leary talks, and if you wonder what Wilbon and I look like in elf outfits, stay tuned.
Oh, God.
Normally, we'd start a Monday show with the NFL, and certainly we wouldn't expect breaking news on Christmas Eve. But there's a report out of Chicago that Tim Floyd is out as head basketball coach. And if the Bulls were hoping this would slip by during the holiday reverie, boy, were they wrong.
I guess they were wrong. And all I can think of is Jerry Krause and Jerry Reinsdorf. It's too early to tell. We're going to take days before we know whether this was a firing or a resignation, because we know Tim Floyd, Tony, has threatened several times. He's told the team, I'm going to quit, as if that's going to rally them. But we also know Krause and Reinsdorf, and they have zero heart. They make the Grinch look warm and fuzzy. You know, part of me thinks, I want to think not even those two could do this, but I know they could. Sam
Smith of the Chicago Tribune, who's our friend, told us before that Floyd had alienated all the players on the team by this point. Whatever was going on there certainly wasn't working. He's going to leave with the worst record of any NBA coach in history.
49-190.
He is done in the NBA. I think he left a good situation at Iowa State. He's going to have to go to a low to a mid-major to get back in coaching. A disastrous move for Tim Floyd.
And why? All to link up with his boy Jerry Krause, who just led him to career destruction. Krause is the one who destroyed that team, who traded Elton Brand. Krause is the Grinch.
You hate Krause. We know that. Okay, over to the NFL. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers crushed the New Orleans Saints 48-21. Well, the Bucs are a real good team in December. They're 12-1 at home in December under Tony Dungy. But 48 points, isn't that the offense they have been searching for all year?
They've been searching for it for 4 years. They've been searching for it since they had a defense with Schaap and Derek Brooks and Rondé Barber. They've had a defense. They've been trying to figure out a way to get consistent offense. But, Tony, they only scored 3 points the week before against the Bears. Okay? They had 40-plus points against St. Louis on the road. They don't do anything consistently. Tampa's going to have to probably win one more game and perhaps two to still get in the playoffs. They need
what I'm going to bring up, though?
What?
Ever since you praised your boy Kyle Turley and wanted to nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize some weeks back, they haven't won a game.
He took up for his guy. He took up for his quarterback.
You praised him more than anybody on this show.
I said he was going to be a popular guy in the locker room.
And now how are they doing in that locker room?
Not well.
They're not going to make the playoffs.
No, probably not. They need Tampa Bay to fall apart right now, and that doesn't look like it's going to happen. But, Tony, we don't know. New Orleans and Tampa Bay are sort of the same deal. You don't know from week to week what they're going to do. All right, the Chicago Bears, after beating the Redskins yesterday, are 11-3. What are we supposed to make of them? They're 8-0 in games decided by a touchdown or less, 11-0 when they scored 13 points or more. They scored 20 yesterday in beating the Redskins on a fake field goal.
Pretty good play.
It was a good play to Urlacher. Then they had to hold on literally for the win. They could finish with the second best record in the league, Tony, and still nobody knows what to make of this team. The club won't even commit to more than 1 year for head coach Dick Duran.
I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about you. You wrote a big column in Sunday's Washington Post about how you bled with these guys. You were a Bear fan your whole life.
That's right.
What was it like for you to go there, be at that game yesterday in Washington?
I probably shouldn't have been there, because I get a little unnerved, as you know. I mean, I'm watching them. They're losing this game. They need this game to stay ahead of the Packers. The only hope is to get a home game. They can't beat the Packers on the road. They certainly can't beat St. Louis on the road. So they needed this game. But on the other hand, I'm there for the Washington Post to primarily cover the Washington Redskins. Only because you insisted that I be there, made me look bad, was I there.
Have some guts. Be a man. Show up. Big day for New York football teams yesterday, even if the New York football teams don't actually play in New York. Both of them, the Giants and the Jets, went the length of the field and had game-winning touchdown passes in the final minutes. Wilbon, the Jets have now won 2 games in a row in December. They're not winning by much, and they're not beating good teams, but they are finally winning in December.
Yeah, you know the person we've overlooked more than anybody else in this entire NFL season?
Who?
Curtis Martin.
Hey,
Curtis Martin may be the MVP of the league.
No.
You could make the argument. You could make the argument. Tony,
go ahead.
All he does is rush for more than 100 yards every week with a team that doesn't have a whole lot of offense. He carries them. And Stephen Davis carries the Redskins, but he doesn't do it every single game because they're 6-8. These guys could win their division.
Who's better right now, the Giants or the Jets? Who's better right now?
The Jets.
Really?
I think so.
Yeah.
You don't think so? You don't agree?
I'm wondering about this because the Giants are coming back in a strong way from the brink of total disaster
They
at this point.
both have these nail biters every week. Now, I'm not going to say the Giants are ready to beat anybody significant in December. If the Jets win out, they'll win the AFC East. But the team in that division that's had the most impressive season and is playing the best right now is, I can't believe I'm saying this, New England. They've won 5 straight, including beating the Dolphins on Saturday. And after a late bye, they finish with Carolina. Sorry, Carolina in 2 weeks.
And here's why Martin is not the MVP.
Why?
Because Tom Brady is
Well,
the
you
MVP.
can make that
Because they are
argument, too.
10-3 with Tom Brady, who nobody had ever heard of, and Martin was a Pro Bowler 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
And when Drew Bledsoe went out, everybody assumed it was doom for a bad team to begin with. So Brady is the MVP. And the
Does
Dolphins,
that mean Bill Belichick is Coach of the Year?
he's got a shot. And I'm happy to say this about the Dolphins. They are once again going right down the tubes
Wait a minute.
in December. Right down the tubes.
When they were like,
Oakland,
when they were like 7-1,
and the Dolphins.
When the Dolphins were
straight
7-1,
down.
you told me how Dave Wanstead had changed. Dave Wanstead was the greatest thing. How people like me helped run Dave Wanstead out of Chicago.
I said that, but I couldn't pick Dave Wanstead out of a lineup
Then why
with
were
the
you defending
Supremes.
him so vigorously?
Because you hate him. You'll remember a couple of weeks ago when Denver Nuggets coach Dan Issel was suspended for 4 games after that ethnic slur he used when he screamed at a heckler. And both Wilbon and I thought that Denver had acted responsibly with that suspension and that Issel was genuine in his apology. Now we see how genuine Issel was. He has taken an indefinite leave of absence from coaching, and there are reports that a separation from the Nuggets will be negotiated. Michael, 2,000 miles away, it seems to me that Issel really was moved to reevaluate his life.
Yeah, I mean, what I resent about this whole thing is when people want to lump Dan Issel in with John Rocker. Let's be careful here. Dan Issel did something that was ugly. He did it in a fit of anger. It did not appear he was trying to impress anybody or be cute like Rocker and others have. I know Dan Issel only, not as a coach, but only as a radio talk show guy, and he seemed fairly sincere. He seemed like he stood for something. He did something wrong, but he's a big deal in Denver, and for him to step down like this,
and you thought there was
there
nothing,
must be other questions.
You thought there was nothing bad in his character. You didn't think he was a bum.
There's nothing to indicate at all that he's a bum.
Right.
No.
This is worse. What has happened to him is far worse than losing games.
Oh, yeah.
A coach can recover
to go
from
out
losing
this way.
games.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I was trying to find some reason to have compassion for George O'Leary after his episode. But after watching his interview with Mike Tirico last night, I found myself in anything but a forgiving mood. First and foremost, college coaches have to teach responsibility and accountability. But here's a 55-year-old man trying to tell us he doesn't know how an entry saying master's degree got on his bio. Among other things, Tirico had this to ask O'Leary.
The basic question that everybody comes back to, I'm sure you've asked yourself, why did you lie about those 2 things?
Really, at that time, to puff my bio. That's all I did with the playing. And it really didn't matter because I had the job. It was insignificant as far as why people hired me.
Here's the thing. He said it showed up on his bio.
Showed up.
He didn't know how it got there. It showed up in 1987. It's 2001.
Yeah.
He had a lot of time to say, whoa, what's this doing in my bio? I didn't earn this. Let's get it out. He's got to be asked, why didn't you get it
Quick
out?
point of fact, Tony. I'm told by coaches, they get their media guides every year, and they go over their own bios. He didn't see this for 14 years. He was lame in that interview, I thought. I mean, I thought Mike Tirico set the right tone and not just harassing him, but O'Leary, to me, came up lame the entire time.
I know that Wilbon hates baseball stories
Yes,
in
I
December.
do.
But surely I'm not the only one who was intrigued by the notion with Jeffrey Luria leaving Montreal to buy the Marlins, that Major League Baseball could itself run the Montreal Expos for 1 more year before squashing it with their feet like a bunch of Sicilian grapes. Wilbon, my feeling is there's only about 150 people who go to the games in Montreal. Let each one of them become manager for a game. Hey, Pierre, the Reds are in town. Come on down and take the helm. What do you think?
I think they just ought to, why have a season? Why have Montreal in next year's season? How many games do you suppose they're going to win? How many fans do you suppose they're going to draw?
What they could
what
do.
ratings, radio and TV are they going to
You get in a
get?
sack bunt situation. You put the flash up. Hey, you 3 fans in section 108. Should he A, bunt, B, take 2 and hit to right, or C, hit away? Come on, let everybody join in.
Are they going to have a team in Montreal still, and we're not going to have a team here in Washington? Your boy Bud Selig going to ensure that?
Oui, as they say in French. Oui.
We've got to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll talk about the film Ali, which opens across the country tomorrow. I've seen it, and I'll give you my review when we come back.
Can't wait. going to spend the next few good minutes on Ali, the movie and the man. The movie opens tomorrow, and Mike has already seen it. So play Roger Ebert for me.
Well, I don't know if I can be that good, Tony, but I liked the movie. I don't know if it was a great movie, but the important part is that Will Smith was so believable as Muhammad Ali.
I ain't draft dodging, I ain't burning no flag, and I ain't running to Canada. I'm staying right here.
I think it's so difficult to make the viewer forget what Ali looks like and to get you into him as Ali, because Ali was sitting about 6 seats to my left, and it's so hard to forget. I mean, Ali probably still one of the 4 or 5 most famous people on the planet.
Oh, absolutely.
And for Will Smith to get you absorbed in him in the movie, I thought was incredible. He's been nominated for a Golden Globe, you know.
I have seen him interviewed, and he has said he was frightened to death to be Muhammad Ali because everybody knows Muhammad Ali. He was afraid he couldn't carry it off. In fact, he was particularly afraid when they did the boxing scenes, his body wouldn't look right and it wouldn't look right. How were the boxing scenes?
The boxing scenes are so good. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's like a real fight, but it's so much better than those phonied up Rocky scenes where a guy looks like he's been bludgeoned to death with a tire iron. No, these were real looking scenes. The boxers themselves, the actors who play, they're not actors, they're boxers, and they act, who play Sonny Liston, who played Joe Frazier and George Foreman, they look so much like the real men, it was sort of scary. The only thing I didn't like was that Ali Will Smith, seemed to be so serious. The portrayal was as a somber Ali. I didn't get as much of a sense of the joy of Ali that I would have liked to, but I thought he was just terrific in the role.
How about, and I don't want you to go through the whole movie, but I am, of course, curious, John Voight played Howard Cosell. Did that work for you or no?
No, it didn't.
I'm the best thing ever happened to you, Cosell. Without me, you'd be a tall white man with a microphone in his mouth.
And without me, you'd be a mouth.
The Cosell voice, if you don't have the voice, you can't be Cosell. I mean, there are all kinds of comics out there. I mean, there are people off the street. It's like Dick Vitale. You've got to have the voice and the cadence. And John Voight didn't have that. And maybe they didn't want to. Maybe they didn't want to exaggerate it so much. I thought that was missing.
I'm old enough, as you know, to have covered Ali.
Well, you did.
Yeah,
I'm interested.
I did.
And I want you to, you've got to see this movie because you can compare it with the man you covered.
I'm going to see it, but what I recall, I had a couple of times when I was with Ali for extended periods of time. One time he was promoting a fight, and I want to say it's the Ernie Shavers fight, but I'm not even sure that it was. And he was on a bus with a whole bunch of writers, just a regular old big bus, for 5 or 6 hours through shopping malls on Long Island and in Westchester. They were selling closed circuit at the time, closed circuit viewing of these fights. And at every stop, Ali would come out with an enormous amount of energy, do this with little kids, have little kids hit him in the mouth, move back and forth, have patter with little kids. And he was, it was written a lot, but he was the Pied Piper. I mean, I never saw anybody, you take the politics out of it, and by this time in his career, the politics were out of it. I never saw anybody who didn't love him. And just see him and immediately love him. I have been around him in recent years at dinners, and he is saintly. It's like going to Lourdes. People go around him and feel the sort of goodness emanating from him. I had one other experience before the Larry Holmes fight. I think this was in 1980. And Dave Kindred and I, Dave Kindred writing a column at the Washington Post, then I was writing features at the Washington Post, we went out to Vegas the day before the fight. Unlike any athlete today, Ali let you in. He didn't just let you in to his room. Ali had a suite at the hotel. We knocked on the door. He said, come in. He's in a bedroom. He's naked underneath satin sheets eating fruit like a potentate. This is less than 24 hours before a championship fight with Larry Holmes. Kindred and I were in there for 4 or 5 hours just talking about everything imaginable. And now you take it 20 years hence, right? Because you've been a working sports writer for 20 years. Did you ever have that kind of access with anybody?
No, not that kind of access. Well, maybe a couple
Alone
guys. I'm not going to name drop.
I won't name drop.
Not before a fight, not a fighter, but I will tell you this story. They show 79th Street on the south side of Chicago in this movie. And this really got to me because I lived 3 blocks. I lived on 82nd Street. And they show Ali getting out of a car on 79th Street. Now, when I was a kid, 4 and a half, 5 years old, I went into Sears and Roebuck. And Ali came through. He had just changed his name. My mother she kicked herself because she could only say Cassius Clay. And Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, picked up my little brother who was 2 and a half. And so he's a kid, he's 2 and a half years old. He didn't know much, but he recognized Ali's face, and Ali held him up, and my brother looked at him and started punching him in the face with both fists. And it was just great. Now, I've had access to Ali later in a gym in '84 in the Olympics, but there's nothing like that.
There's nobody, there's nobody quite like him in terms of that kind of access. He would just welcome you in to his room, felt no pressure, whoever was there. No security, nobody at the door, no entourage, no nothing. Ali, knock on the door. Come in, talk to me. Less than 24 hours
That's why,
before
isn't he
a
the
fight.
most fascinating figure? One of the 2 or 3 most fascinating figures of the last 40 years
In my
America.
lifetime covering sports, which is a little over 30 years now, he is right at the top in terms of presence and magnitude and historical import as well. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll get into the holiday spirit with a game of good elf, bad elf.
Oh, God.
Stick with us.
Rated PG-13. Now play.
Welcome back to the workshop. Mikey and I are going to play a little good elf, bad elf. Santa wants some last-minute recommendations. Let's get right to it. Who's first on the list? Chris Webber, naughty or nice?
Nice. How can you go naughty on Chris Webber? He gave the people of Sacramento their Christmas present back in the summer when he decided to bless them with his presence for about 7 more NBA seasons as opposed to going to L.A. or New York or Detroit or Atlanta or Indianapolis or Orlando. He didn't take the easy way out. He stayed. And they're going to be a really good team. They're the only team that can even think of overtaking the Lakers because he stayed.
You act like those mentions of those other cities came out of thin air. They came out of Chris Webber's lips. He was the one who said he was going to go to all those. You know you recall that. They're 16-7 without him and 4-2 with him. They're as good without him as with him.
Do you think against the Lakers in June, they don't need Chris Webber? Of course.
Yes, they need him.
Who's next?
Kerry Collins, naughty or nice? I'll be the good elf.
What's your case for him?
Kerry Collins, what's my case for him? He's rehabilitated his life since Carolina, New Orleans, wherever he was.
That is good.
He went to the Super Bowl last year. He had a rocky start this year, but the last 2 games in a row, right before Christmas, bang, bang, he won the game.
He was dreadful in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And the Giants were under 500 coming into this year in a wretched division with the likes of the Redskins and the Cowboys and the Cardinals. And this guy couldn't even get the team going after getting him to the Super Bowl. Last year, he was nice. This year, I don't know, maybe coal in his stocking.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Where'd you get those ears?
I don't know.
Look like the rest of you.
My
Who's
parents
next?
had these kind of ears. You don't like that?
Who's next?
Peter Warwick of the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I'm going to say the bad elf for a couple of simple reasons.
Go ahead.
This guy has never had a 100-yard receiving game in the NFL. He hasn't had more than 33 yards in 6 games this season. And Lavernius Coles, his teammate at Florida State, who went 79th in the draft after he went 4th, has 658 yards and 6 TDs this season, and he has torched his boy, Peter Warwick.
So I guess Lavernius Cole's got a better deal.
Coal for him in the
Better deal out of Dillard's than this guy got. He got drafted by Cincinnati. Look at Achilles Smith. You go to Cincinnati, that's the end of it. You can't blame this guy. I'm not saying he's any good, but you can't blame this guy. Nobody's any good.
You want a big fat present for him?
No, not a big fat one. And anyway, get him a discount. Who's next? Whoa. Sebastian Janikowski, the Oakland Raiders. Now, he was doing great this year, 21-23 until this past weekend when he went 1 of 4 missed field goals from the 40, the 33, and the 42, all makeable. I take it you would want to put Cole in his stuff.
Yes, I do, and here's why. They got to win that particular game. The Raiders need home field. The Raiders need to get on a roll. You're calling them dogs in December.
They are dogs
There's
in
one
December.
reason why. Because this guy couldn't make a field goal. It's this guy, Janikowski, Mr. Party Boy, couldn't get the job done.
Let me make a suggestion.
Okay, what?
It's been a long time since he's been arrested. Maybe he plays better when he's just recently been arrested and he's got something to prove. I'm not sure I'm giving him Cole.
You want to make that case on Christmas Eve, he needs to be arrested.
Well, who's next?
Oh, we got to change up.
Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. Rudolph's got no game. All he's got is a red nose. He's a freak. He's a freak in nature. He shouldn't be leading the sleigh. He didn't work hard for it. He stinks. Get him out of there.
All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names.
Yes.
They never even let poor Rudolph play in the reindeer games. He was a bench warmer. He was Charlie Brown, but he he overcame adversity. One foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, guide my sleigh tonight.
And
He
was
made
he-
him a captain. He put the captain's C
Well,
right
they
here
gotta
on Rudolph's jersey.
They got to unstitch the C. They got to give a little bit of time, a little bit of PT to Donner, a little bit of PT to Blitzen. They're always behind Rudolph. Rudolph gets a big pub. He doesn't deliver.
Rudolph
He's
got
got
it
no
done.
game. He
You know
hasn't
what?
gotten it done.
We got no game because we're winning this stuff and we're pathetic.
I like this. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back in a moment with a few thoughts on an old friend. We spoke earlier of Muhammad Ali. Ali was a great friend of our great friend, Dick Schaap. Dick passed away on Friday after complications from hip replacement surgery. Mike and I had the privilege and the honor of working with Dick on the Sports Reporters over the past 13 years. And as our friend Mike Lupica said, we had the best seat on television, right next to Dick Schaap. Mike, your thoughts?
Tony, what I love the most about Dick Schaap has nothing to do with sports or television. I've never met anybody better than Dick at telling a story, which means above all, you have to be curious and a great listener. Where some reporters found no story at all, Dick could find a bestseller. It wasn't just Ali and Jim Brown and famous folk whose lives Dick found fascinating. He told the story of soldiers and teachers and civil rights workers. 25 years before hosting the Sports Reporters, Dick went to places like Philadelphia, Mississippi, and Selma, Alabama, and told stories of America's greatest, most shameful, and continuous conflict. Dick told stories that revealed racism and sexism and homophobia years and years before most of the reporters even noticed. He had guts enough to go anywhere to pursue even one person's story and always managed to tell it, even if he had to do it critically, with compassion, in a way that left the subject with dignity. His life was diverse in a way that was exemplary, and he didn't just stand for inclusion, he demanded it. He isn't with us any longer, but fortunately for the world, his stories are.
Thank you. Of all the things that Dick Schaap loved, and he loved sports, and he loved newspapers and television and radio and theater and politics and laughter, he loved good women and bad men and large dinners with friends. He loved the written word and the spoken word. He loved his work and worked all the time, even when he was playing. He loved famous people and infamous people. And if you had a piece of gossip or a funny line to tell him, he loved you too. But of all the things Dick Schaap loved, most of all, he loved being Dick Schaap. And he was great at it. Being out on the town with him was like walking through the fields of heaven with St. Peter as your tour guide. Dick was the happiest, most generous, most optimistic man I ever knew. He never had a down day. On any night, you could have dinner and drinks with Dick, and they'd be rich and full with hope and laughs and great stories that would last into the wee small hours of the morning, and you'd have to leave for fear of falling asleep at the table. And then you'd awaken bleary-eyed the next morning to find that Dick had already played 2 sets of tennis, written 3 chapters of a book, and interviewed a movie star and a batting champion. All of Dick's friends are having trouble dealing with the news that he died because none of us can imagine him not working.
Amen, Tony.
I'm Tony Kornheiser.
And I'm Mike Wilbon. Good night and Merry Christmas.